Okay, volume 39 is nothing but action. Man, I was I was so ready for this volume. Basically Sanji, Usopp, or the Sniper King, as he likes to be called, and Frankie are on the Navy ship and they're kind of left to their own devices. Sanji is fighting Wands, or Waynes, which is basically like he can shoot pasta out of his nose. He just eats some flour and he's like, here's some pasta. His attacks are pasta, which the irony is not lost on me. Sanji is a chef and he even does uses knives this time. And his thing is ramen and food. So it's a really it's such a strange fight, but it's such a fun fight. And Frankie fights Nero as Usopp is basically sneaking around the train, and they actually, what I really liked about it was Usopp and Robin have this heart to heart, and we don't see them interact a lot together. And this heart to heart about the crew, which you can tell that Usopp's kind of talking about his own thing that he has going on with the crew right now with Robin, and that was such a great scene. And they're basically fighting on the train as Luffy and the people are trying to bullet their way to catch up to the train. One of the coolest things happen in this volume up to this point for me. And that's when Zoro cuts through a ship, which is crazy because it's T-Bone's ship and he is called the ship cutter or the ship slicer. And he slices through their ship. Luffy just looks at him and says, I need it out of the way. And he's like, I got you. And everybody's like, no, he's like, he slices through the ship. It was Zoro. A plus slices through that ship. So they're fighting on the Navy ship. Luffy and Zoro and the crew are trying to get to him with their frog buddy now, which is awesome. Usopp smoke bombs and gets Robin off the ship, and they disconnect the cart, and actually Bluno uses the door fruit, the door gum gum fruit, which opens the door through the air and pops onto their ship, and Robin's like, you don't have to take me, I'm coming with you. And everybody's like, why are you coming with them? And I guess she's still coming with them to protect them. But it's like they say, it doesn't matter. They're going to come for you. We don't leave a crew member behind. But that's what doesn't make sense because they even say it. They don't leave a crew member behind, so they're coming for her. And I don't understand why she is so steadfast in her own ways. Robin, they care about you. They're coming for you, no matter what. And that's what we're about to get to towards the end of this volume. Another really fun moment was when Luffy and Chopper meet the Sniper King. And it shows their childlike, like Luffy for being the powerhouse that he is. He's like, it's in our heart. It's in our, talking about how comedy missed a little bit in the beginning of this arc, that was an amazing scene. They're like, oh, it's in our heart. So good. But yeah, so they don't get to the ship in time before it enters like the gates of justice. And they're all coming up with a plan because they're like, we're about to, they could have 3,000 people. And everybody's like, yeah. And Luke's like, I got it. Launches himself over the gate. He might be a knucklehead, but you got to give Luffy credit. He is fearless. He's like, let's go. This is my mission. I'm gone. You got to respect that about him. So after Luffy launches himself over the gates and he's ready for battle and he's ready to rescue Robin, Robin and Frankie are captured and Luffy and his crew of people are going to rescue them. And we basically end off where Luffy is surrounded and he's like, yeah, I'm all by myself. I need you to get out of my way. I feel like this volume was full steam ahead, but the way this one ends, I feel like volume 40, it's about to be a no holds bar. Let's go rescue Robin. And I can't wait to read it. So, I'll see you next volume. Volume 40 was a showstopper volume. There are two scenes in particular that I need to talk about. So the crew is in front of the gates that are blocked by two giants, which is where we left them in the last volume. And this whole volume is the Frankie family, the crew, everybody just going for Nico Robin. And it is awesome. And we're not even talking about the end of the volume when something happens that we'll get to it. That's just a tease for, 2 minutes from now. But it's still a tease. So one of the two moments that I have to talk about is the King Bulls. Gamora and Sodomu. Sodomu? Listen, when Sodomu gets hit and goes out and Chopper can understand what they're saying and Gamora makes the promise to... I'm getting chill bumps just talking about it. And I think this moment, if you've ever had an animal that you cared about, it will hit you. And the bond that those King Bulls shared when Gamora nods, and it was almost over for me. I almost had to put this book down and say I gotta take a minute. Man. And that's not even talking about the moment when Gamora charges through the gate and Chopper's like, no, they made a promise. They're gonna fulfill it. How can... Oda, I have a question. How can you make me care about two fictitious animals in 50 pages? Sir. How? Man. That arc for those fake animals was better than some full manga series. That's not a dig. It's kind of a dig. I don't know. You make up the mind. But yeah, that arc with those King Bulls, I had to touch on that because that made this volume something special. But the other thing that made this volume so special, Luffy goes Gear 2. And this is just a theory, but he says gear and then Bluno, falls on the ground. So did he have a third gear? Because when he went Gear 2, he was unstoppable. Because he was taking his shave powers and he said he was doing it perfectly immediately. He said gear. Does he have 6 gears like a car? Like a 6-speed transmission? Luffy, you hide some secrets. But yeah, the Luffy Bluno fight, and he went Gear 2, and he went from struggling to smoked him. It was over. This volume was incredible. And it also had, as I've already mentioned a few volumes ago, Zoro and Sanji teaming up more and making their way through the city. I always like when those two get together. They are funny and they take no prisoners, and it's awesome. So where we leave off with everyone in this volume is Nico Robin and Frankie are about to go through the door. Luffy busts through and says, Nico Robin, I'm here to save you. And after showing Gear 2, he ain't messing around. The rest of the crews are very close to catching up with Luffy. And one of the most interesting tidbits that was left unanswered was Califa and Kaku ate devil fruit. And I don't know what their powers are, but I feel like they're going to be a problem in, if not the next volume, the volume after that. So, let's get to volume 41. Okay, so we've reached volume 41, or like I'm going to call it, the Nico Robin volume, because we finally get to hear about her backstory, and it kind of puts in perspective the decisions she's made up until this point when it comes to the crew and why she decided to kind of abandon them to protect them. So the first 2 chapters is kind of Luffy and the crew basically asking Robin if she wants to live. They're there to save her because they are standing across the way. They are there to save her, and does she actually want to live? I don't know if you guys could see that, but when Oda drew that, he knew. When they're just screaming, just leave the rest to us. That's a powerful moment. So the next 75% of the volume is Nico Robin's backstory, which was very interesting, and it kind of did put in perspective why she is the way she is. So when she's a young kid, she's learning to read the glyphs. I'm just gonna call them the glyphs. It's easier. It's like the ponglyphs. So she's learning to read the glyphs from this group that lives in a tree of basically they're they have to stay hidden because if people find out that they're trying to uncover the history, they will basically get charged with a death sentence, which is foreshadowing of what's going to happen by the end of her backstory. So she meets this giant Saul, and they actually become friends, and it's one of her first and only friends in this period of her life. And through that, the Saul actually knows her mother and knows that her mother has not died and is actually still alive out there. And her mother actually ends up in the island, but she wants to keep it a secret from Nico Robin because she doesn't want her daughter to be a daughter of a criminal. That's got to be real tough to make that decision of you can only see your daughter from a distance because you don't want her to be associated with you when honestly you're not doing that bad of stuff and you're being painted way worse than what you're actually doing. I really liked Olivia as a character. I really, really did. And when they come to destroy the history, Saul comes in and Olivia lets Nico Robin go and say, you have to live. And Saul tells her that history is the world's greatest asset. And it shows that what she's trying to do and what she's trying to uncover is the history. It's not this big bad thing. It's the history of the world, and history is very important. Because if you don't know the history, you're doomed to repeat it. I mean, it's a saying. So Nico Robin is allowed to leave the island. And then we get a quick montage of her kind of growing up and finally working with Crocodile, which leads us to how she found Luffy. And at the end of this volume, we're cut back towards the future. And she just screams that she wants to live. And if we know Luffy at this point, that's all he needed. He was, I'm gung-ho. I'm here. She wants this to happen. I'm going to make this happen. But the one standout that I definitely want to say in this volume is Frankie. He takes the blueprints out of him and burns them. And he looks and says, I bet on Nico Robin. He bets on Nico Robin because of the crew and Luffy and everybody's faith and everything that he is seeing. And he burns these blueprints that everybody wants. And now she's the only way that can unlock this weapon. He bets on her, a person that he barely knows. And the way that Oda has set up their quick relationship, because they've only known each other for like 2 volumes, and for him to do that, it was excellent. And as they can't get past the drawbridge, Rocket Man shoots through. Luffy jumps off the building with everybody, and they finally are able to break in to the Tower of Law and rescue Nico Robin. That's where we end off on volume 41. So let's get to 42. This volume was an all-out battle, and it was awesome. Like, every character kind of had their battle moment in this volume. I'm so surprised this volume was only like 200 pages, because it felt like, even with the battle, they pushed a lot into it, and everybody kind of got their moment to shine. To me, in this volume, the standout, well, there was 3 standout moments in this volume. Because other than that, it was really just the CP9 versus the Straw Hats and just battling it out. But the 3 moments that I really need to talk about, because I think they were just so well done. One was when Zoro and Usopp were chained together, and he had to use Usopp as his blade. And he was just like standing there. They haven't battled together, but I'm guessing because the Straw Hats have still not found key number 2 to unlock them. I'm guessing he's just going to use Usopp as his weapon. And Usopp was like, I'm going to call my lawyer. That's the one thing that One Piece, the more I dive into it, does so well, is comedy mixed with action. And finding comedic moments in this, because this volume is action-packed, but they find comedic moments. And it's one of the only mangas that I've personally read that pulls it off super, super well. Another standout moment, and probably the top moment for me in this volume that elevates Chopper's character to top tier character, is when he uses the Rumble Ball 3 times and he becomes a monster. Chopper is in his monster form, which is just this behemoth of an animal where he has friend, foe, doesn't matter, he's coming for you, and it's basically his version of the Hulk, if you've read comic books. Like, he is this massive thing just destroying. Just everything on his mind is destroy, destroy, destroy. And it doesn't get solved in this volume, but I'm wondering if he'll be able to control this form. If he's going to have that moment that has happened in a lot of fictions where he sees Sanji or Nami or one of the Straw Hats and he's able to control this monster form and be able to turn into it later on in the series. Because the power that he has, if he can be able to control it, if he's able to control it, Chopper's about to be a big problem and a super quintessential member of the Straw Hats. And the last big moment in this volume is Luffy and Lucci. I'm still not quite sure how to say it, but I'm sure when I release this video, you guys will be like, this is how you say it. So I appreciate, hey, thank you from past me for future me. Luffy's trying to get through him, and Spandam has a golden transmitter, which the Navy intercepts, and they basically call in a nuclear strike, or how they like to call it, a buster call, which is what happened with Nico Robin's island. It's a no holds bar, burn it all to the ground. And Spandam basically, over this communicator, which a lot of people can hear, is that he doesn't care about his henchmen or the normal people. If he has to kill 1,000 to save 10,000, he's about it. And people hear about it, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. If I was part of the smaller crew just trying to battle these people, and I heard my commander-in-chief said, I don't care about them, I'm leaving the island. If you don't care about me, I don't care about you. Like, I'm not dying for you. So I'm wondering, towards the end of the volume, it seems like everyone's running from the island. That's where we leave this volume, is the Straw Hats and CP9 are all still going against each other. Usopp and Zoro are still handcuffed to each other. Him as a stick of a weapon. I still can't get over that. It's so good. And Luffy is about to have his big battle where when he breaks through the door, he can finally get to Spandam and Nico Robin and save her. I'm going to be honest with you, you will probably see this same exact outfit because I'm about to go crush volume 43. I'm so excited. This arc has ramped up to 10, and I'm ready to see how it goes. See you next volume.